Welcome to another episode of the Waters Run Deep podcast. This is Chris. We're here with Amanda and David. Today we're going to be discussing secret societies in general. Amanda's going to kick us off with a Florida man story. Here we go.
All right. So in Haines City, Florida, a tractor trailer driver is facing possession of methamphetamine after crashing into the back of a public shopping center in the Haines City area. So the Florida man totaled his tractor trailer during a delivery to Publix because he was on meth.
And he just owned up to it right off the bat that I fucked up. I was hitting my meth pipe and it just got away from me, and here we are.
Yeah, so it says that he was making a delivery in the back of the shopping center when his truck tore an awning off the building and then hit an unoccupied pickup truck, and both vehicles were totaled. So if you totaled a truck, that has to be super
Yeah, you were doing some damage if you totaled a semi truck. I mean, they're built to take some bumps.
So he totaled the trailer or the truck?
Sounded like he totaled the truck.
It says that both vehicles were totaled. So I think it was the trailer in the truck. It also looks like when officers approached the gentleman following the crash, he said that he thought he was being pranked by a television show and did not immediately come out of the 53-foot tractor.
Yeah, he sat in there. He sat in there and was, he thought it was all a prank and what have you. And then when they finally got him out, because I read the same story, Amanda, so I don't mean to take your thunder, but when he finally got out, he looked at him and said, "Oh well, I made a mistake. I was trying to light my meth pipe."
So he thought, what's that guy's name? Kushner.
Oh yeah.
Ashton Kushner was gonna pop out and say, "Hey, you're on Punk'd."
Yeah, we punked you. We got you.
So the police officer even gave him a way to get out of it, because the police officer said to him, have you fallen asleep? Are you drinking or experiencing some medical emergency? And the gentleman was like, nope, just smoking my meth pipe.
Well, you got to appreciate his honesty. I have to say that.
Yep. That is what the Haines City Police Department said, that they appreciate his honest response to the question, but wants to remind everyone that using meth is illegal and could cost someone their life.
Right. Or a very expensive awning.
I was thinking about this. How many? It almost worries me. How many of these truckers are actually doing this stuff and driving this much weight? You know what I mean? Because those trucks aren't light. I mean, they don't stop on a dime.
No.
My question is, I don't smoke meth, nor do I know how one does. But isn't it it's a rock that you have to burn? I mean, I've seen some TV shows. I don't know if this is meth or crack or both, or I'm confusing them. But it doesn't seem like it's an easy thing to smoke while backing truck up.
Go ahead, Chris. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. It's not super difficult. It's probably as difficult as lighting a cigarette. Not that I've ever smoked meth, nor do I have any intention of smoking meth, but I have an idea how they do it. So it's in some sort of glass pipe, and instead of lighting it directly, like if you were smoking a regular pipe, whether it be tobacco or marijuana, I know you light it from the bottom. So you're not actually putting the flame on the...
Yeah, you heat the rock up, and the rock kind of has a chemical reaction to the heat. It melts, and then you get the smoke off the rock. And I don't know if either one of you've ever kind of looked at how they make meth, or been around, someone that knows how to make meth or anything like that. But I've actually seen a whole setup and a whole meth lab, what it would take to make meth. I can't imagine putting this stuff in my body. What they make this stuff out of is just unreal.
That was two things. One, I've seen Breaking Bad because Adam's obsessed with it. But two, David, when I read this, I thought about this one time. I think you and I were on the phone, and we were watching how does this get made, and it was about drugs, and they left out one secret ingredient.
Yeah.
And I was like, I bet I could Google and find that ingredient.
Well, yeah, right. I mean, it's simple. I mean, it's crazy simple to make, but it's so it's so hazardous. Like, if
Yeah.
you breathe it in, it'll kill you. You know, if you do it wrong, you let off a wrong gas or what have you, it'll kill you. And I mean, they have to go in with suits when they raid a meth lab or something like that. They have to go in with suits and clean everything up and make it, not toxic for people to go in and actually take all this stuff out. And I mean, they're using batteries and all this stuff to make this, the
Mm.
chemical reaction, and it's just unreal that people are okay with putting that in their body. They just want that high, that hit, and they don't think about all this crap going in their body. It's just crazy.
Don't they use like Sudafed from like cough tablets and shit
Hmm.
too?
Yeah, they break down the Sudafed. It's really neat. Like, to think that these people who do these drugs are this intelligent enough to break down the Sudafed and get the chemical needed from the Sudafed. I'm trying to remember the
Well, you get
amphetamine. You get the amphetamine from the Sudafed, and
right.
then the alkaline something from the battery or something like that, and you drop that in water, and it chemically reacts like the alkaline in the battery, and that's actually where your explosion can come from, because it heats that water up, and it causes a fire
Oh wow.
inside the bottle. And it's unfreaking real what these people do, and how smart you have to be. I guess not smart, but how, I guess,
Determined.
determined you have to be in order to grab this rock that you make, and then melt it down and inject it in your body, just for a high.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you give an addict some time and a little bit of knowledge, and they'll find a way.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're gonna get that high, come hell or high water. And
Mm. So where was this at again, Amanda? I think you said we're at in Florida.
Oh, it was in Haines City, Florida,
Where's that
which
at?
is
it's Polk County.
north. Oh yeah. It's in Polk County. It's like in between Lakeland and Kissimmee.
Yep. Yep.
Huh.
Mhm.
Interesting.
So
Interesting.
that makes me think, oh, now that I think about it, I'm kind of sad that Haines City's police department are the ones that dealt with it and not Polk County, because then our favorite sheriff, Grady Judd, would have handled that.
Oh yeah, yeah. Grady would have had some good stuff to say about that.
Yeah, I love when Grady handles stuff. So one more thing about our friend here. He was charged with possession of methamphetamine, disorderly conduct, resisting arrest without violence, and then possession of narcotics paraphernalia.
Oh, see, they nailed him with everything. That's just a common thing to like throw everything at
Yeah.
him to see what sticks, because the
Yeah.
resisting is questionable. He might be able to get that taken off because he can use the old excuse, "I wasn't sure what was going on." But wow.
One of my favorite games to play started when I was back in the day, when I was looking to move back to Maryland, which ended up not happening. I was looking at houses in Baltimore, and there were these gorgeous houses for like nothing, and they couldn't figure out why they were so cheap. And they weren't in like Baltimore City; they were like in the county.
Mhm.
And so I would send them to my friend, and we would play this game called Haunted or Meth. Like, do you think the house is cheap because it's haunted, or because it was a meth house? Um, and we still to this day, but now we've expanded our horizons past Baltimore. But it's a fun game to play. I recommend our listeners, if you are like me and you stalk Zillow for weird houses, it's really fun to play one called Haunted or Meth.
That's hilarious.
I also one time I actually found a house by you, Chris, because Adam and I were looking at houses in Pennsylvania, just sort of talking about it, and I found one and I was like, "Oh, this one's definitely a haunted house." What could have been meth?
I wonder. There's one that's not far from us. That's kind of towards like all the shops and stuff, and it legit from outside is like your picturesque haunted house. But they actually just recently started to fix it up. So I don't know if somebody bought it or what, but it does look like your picturesque haunted house. It's crazy.
Well, okay, so here's my question for you too. If you could buy a house, it's in your price range, has everything you want, but you know that it comes with ghosts, because I know both of you believe in spirits, would you buy that house?
Sold. I would buy it in a heartbeat. Are the Well, let me ask you this. I shouldn't say that. Are these like your Casper the Friendly Ghost? Are we talking like hellhounds and demons from the
poltergeist and whatnot?
pits from hell? You know.
You don't know. You just know that the homeowners tell you spirits live here.
I'd say I go with it. We can get
Would you
some
buy that?
sage and I get into it.
I don't know that I would. I think I would probably steer clear of that. I mean, that would. Number one, I probably would never see my daughter again. She would hear that and be like, "Well, I'm not staying here." And two,
That's why you don't tell them.
listen, the things that I've experienced in this house have been close to supernatural enough for me.
I'm trying to remember when I lived there, David. I'm trying to remember if I feel like I did. I just can't remember anything specific, but I feel like I did have some weird shit going on when I lived there.
It's just that the whole TV thing, Amanda, you and I, that was hilarious. So I don't know, Chris, if you heard about that. If I told you about the TV?
No.
Oh, the TV would randomly
my
turn itself
God.
on or turn itself off. Like I'd be sitting here and it'd go off. I'm like, sure, I wasn't watching that. That's fine. Just whatever. And then it would turn itself back on. And so like this happened for a while. Like Chris, it went on for a couple months and I'm sitting here going,
cow.
I don't know what the fuck's going on. Like I would turn the TV off. I would go to bed. In the morning when I get up, the damn TV would be on. I'd be like, okay, sorry. I didn't know you were watching that. I left it on for you. You know? I found out that move was on me though. Because I had the TV, the cable box is underneath the TV. And I guess it was resting right on the power button. And you know the trains that come by here, it would vibrate it just enough, it would kick the bitch back on.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, yeah. It scared the hell out of me. But, I mean...
that was my favorite month. Every day I get a phone call. It did it again. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
We were wondering if, like, neighbors around here had the same TV or remote. And they were walking by, hitting the remote. And it was just activating my TV. I was like, this is bullshit.
That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I do think that house does have a spirit in it, though, because like I have literally like when my mom was there with Betty the dog, I have like walked into the living room in that red chair. I've seen her like the dog like sitting in this as if somebody was with her.
I don't really want to say that because Savannah's sitting in the red chair right now. She'd vacate that chair. She'd never sit in that chair again.
Speaking of dogs, so before this evening, we fed the dogs, and Bay's, of course, 15 years old, the dachshund, and Kai's 2 years old, the German Shepherd, and he eats. And recently, he's been like leaving a little bit of food in his bowl for some weird reason. And I think what he's doing is he's leaving it for Bay, so Bay will go like eat his, and then she'll go eat hers for whatever reason. And sometimes she doesn't even eat hers; she'll just eat the little bit he left. Anyway, she did that. And Kai gets this like salmon oil because he itches in the summertime. So we give him the salmon oil stuff to help with his itching. It's like an oil you put on his food. So she ate Kai's food. And then for some reason, she went in her bed and she has this like tent thing that Robin puts her in while she's working. So she doesn't like have an accident or anything because she's old. And I happened to look over and I could tell she was like doing that. Like that gagging thing, like she's getting ready to throw up. So I just had a brain fart, and Robin was right there. I just looked at her. I said, she's getting ready to throw up. And I was just figuring, well, she's going to throw up in her bed. We'll just throw it in the wash and be done with it. Robin's like, aren't you going to pick her up? So I was like, well, that's a good idea. I can hurry up and get her outside and be nothing to clean up, So I grab her, and I guess when I grabbed her, I pushed the button, and here comes everything. So Kai got puked on.
Oh, Jesus.
The floor got puked on.
Guys sitting there going, you could have just left him alone. That's all. If you
I thought I missed him. Like I thought like a little bit got on the floor. Yeah. And then all of a sudden Emma's like, oh, Kai's got puke on him. And this is when we're outside with Bay. Oh, I'm like, Jesus Christ. And he had it like on his head, the top of his head, down the side of his body. I was like, oh man. So yeah.
So we got another bath this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Luckily, I had one of these wipes left. They're like rinseless wipes for dogs. Like you just wet them and it gets real soapy and you can basically wash them and just dry them off. So I use that and it works pretty good.
Interesting. So it's like a dry shampoo for dogs.
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, it is wet, but it you don't have to. You just have to wipe them with that after you wet this like glove thing, and then you just dry them off.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I only use him like for stuff like that, or if he goes out and decides to get dirty because he's a white dog, so he gets dirty pretty easy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just give him a regular bath. So yeah, that was the lovely.
Oh, Bay.
Yeah. She's still
Old
hanging on
Bay
though.
indeed.
Yeah.
So what did you learn from that, Chris? Not to pick up the puking dog.
Yeah, let her lay. Let her lay. Puke it in the bed.
And
we'll deal with it later. If you pick her up, you're gonna hit the button and it's just gonna come out.
It's gonna get all over the place.
Have you seen that meme that's like nothing wakes a person from asleep with the sound of like a puking animal?
Yes.
Well, I could be dead asleep, but I hear that dog or cat puke, and I'm like,
or a puking kid. A puking kid will do it too.
Yes, both. But see, and the dog will get me, and it doesn't happen that often. But Kyle, he tends to come near me because he knows, I guess, that I'll come deal with him.
Yeah.
And what I do is, if we're upstairs in bed, I just take him to the bathroom and like let him do it on the floor, so you don't have to clean it off the carpet, and that usually works good. So, for whatever reason, when he stayed at my parents' last weekend, I guess he ate something in the woods. My mom saw him eat it and got him to stop, but I guess he got enough of it that it made him sick. And he like threw up all over the floor in the middle of the night, like in 2 different spots. And I was like, how did that not wake you up? Because he's pretty loud when he throws up. Like he gets the dry heaves and everything. It's like, what are you up all drinking all night? You're puking like that? But I mean, not that he pukes a lot, but it's like, geez, how did that not wake you? She like woke up and stepped in a pile of puke. And I'm like, ugh. Of course, they have like really new, like fairly new carpet. Like within the past year, they've replaced their carpet.
Oh, no.
Now I'm the asshole.
Yeah. You shouldn't have left a puking dog over there.
Yeah.
That's the last time I'm going to let Kai over.
Yeah. And then, of course, Bay's having, because she's old, you have to be like really mindful and like set a reminder on your phone to like take her out like every 45 minutes.
Really?
Or she's going to like let it loose. So I guess she was afraid during the night. She doesn't do it. Like she'll sleep through the night, but this is like during the daytime and evening time. And at night she just sleeps in her bed in her room, and we just keep her confined to the bedroom. But my mom decided to put her in like the bathtub with a blanket to lay down, so that way I guess it's confined and you can just wash the blanket. Well, she was, of course, pissed and shit all over that shit. It's like, well, that serves you. If you would have left her be, you wouldn't have had anything to deal with.
Yeah.
I definitely think dogs, especially dachshunds, because I have one too, like when they're mad, they like paybacks are hell.
Yes, she is as spiteful as can spiteful be. I'm telling you, she is a bitch to the fullest extent when she wants to be. Crazy.
But she's also so cute and sweet.
Yeah, she's a good dog.
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that.
Is your kid good? Does she throw up still?
Savannah? No, she's, you know what? It's really, she's really interesting. Like she's probably thrown up in front of me or around me like twice. Like one time she got some bad vegetables when she was a baby. And like she gave me that look and like I knew, I was like, oh, she's going to be sick. And so I was able to get her to the bathroom and she threw up in the sink. And, her mom was like, oh my God, I can't handle it. And I'm like, we got to, this is kind of what we signed up for. And I think another time she got the flu or something like that, but her puking, it's been unreal. Like she's one of the least pukingest kids that I think I've ever been around, which is wild.
I'm trying to think. I don't think I've ever seen Emma throw up. I mean, she's pretty private with stuff like that. So, but I mean, when she was a baby, she puked, but nothing like crazy. But I don't think since she's been old enough to kind of do her own thing. I mean, she's only 6, but she hasn't really had any issues or anything.
Yeah, no, it's weird. It's just like Me, I remember throwing up. Like I'd go lay in my mom and dad's bed, because I
Yeah.
was sick, and of course now they're pissed at me because I threw up in a bed. And why was I laying it? Why was I laying in their bed and all that? Yeah. So, but Savannah, knock on wood, she's been really good about that.
That's good.
So, I mean, not that she's my pet or anything, but there's my 2 cents on that.
I
Fair
have a
enough.
mom who's 70 that I take after, and she does not throw up. She refuses to throw up.
No, she doesn't
But
throw
she's
up.
doing
She
another bodily function right
yeah.
now. So
she
yeah.
blows up the bathroom.
Right?
Goes sprinkler
Poor
on the
thing.
bathroom.
Pukes at the other end.
There you go.
Ugh.
Mm.
I want to avoid that. Even the dog's like not hanging out with her right now. The dog's like in my room, like with me.
I don't blame him.
Well, I guess we
Smart
should
dog.
probably stop talking about
Bodily
bodily
functions.
functions and start talking about secret societies.
Yeah, let's
Well,
jump
yeah.
into it.
So I'll ask both of you because I did very little research on this. Do you guys do you have any idea how many secret societies there are?
A shit ton. Some of them are kind of bullshit, but a shit ton.
It's unreal.
Well,
It
and
is.
like also, do we even know how many if they're really secret?
Well,
Right.
I guess you wouldn't know if they're like truly secret, but I mean, most of your secret societies are gonna want more people.
Yeah, I think some of them have become known over time, and I think some of them could be that they're people think they're this, and in reality they're actually this.
Right.
And there's like Freemasons is a perfect example, and that's not
That's
really
what I
a
was-
secret
Yeah, that's what I was
society. But there's different orders of Freemasons that are more secretive than others. So
Yeah, I learned that. See, and Freemasonry was always one that I was kind of interested in because they align themselves a lot with Christianity. I mean, from what I've seen of it, they align themselves a lot with Christianity. But I learned that as you go up in the ranks, it's the more secret information you get.
yeah, and they
you
do
know-
some weird shit for rituals too.
Oh yeah. And did you know Washington D.C. was based on Freemasonry? Was built on Freemasonry?
Yeah, and that if you connect the streets, it makes like an inverted pentagram too.
Yeah, it makes the pentagram and all that stuff.
What?
Yeah.
Yep. And one of there's a I'm trying to figure out how it's phrased. There's a brick. One corner of the White House is said to
Yeah.
have a brick from Freemasonry. Like their
Yeah.
first brick is a Freemason brick.
Yep.
And
They do
trying
that
to
a
look
lot.
for it.
Yeah, they do that a lot. Like in buildings and stuff, if they're actually involved, they do that a lot. They'll throw something in there to
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah, and Freemasonry's
hat.
been around forever though.
ever,
Huh.
long time. And even like the Illuminati in air quotes, that was the true Illuminati that actually did exist with I think his name was Weishaupt. Isaac Weiss was a podcast. There's another guy with last name Weishaupt. He kind of started it, and basically what a short story on that was, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, but he liked the idea of the Freemasons, but he wanted his own type thing and kind of wanted to be more involved than it was. So he started the Illuminati and kind of based a lot of their stuff off of like Freemason rituals, like their initiations and things like that.
And see, I didn't learn that those
Oh.
two were separate societies until I started looking into this. Because I thought the Freemasonry and Illuminati were like of one. You know what I mean? And then when I started doing a little bit of research, I found that that's two separate entities. That's two separate societies.
Yeah.
Like you were saying.
Yeah.
Well, so I watch Angels and Demons because I believe that art is truth. And
For sure.
I learned that the Illuminati were scientists who were trying to prove that science and the church could be one, and the church didn't like that, so they persecuted them, and that's why they went underground.
That might be partly true, but I don't remember ever hearing that with like looking into like Illuminati.
Is that why Scientology came around?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Scientology is a made up book. No. Like, so what Tom Hanks told me in Angels and Demons
Jesus.
is that uh so like they were these scientists who were trying to prove science and they contradicted the church and the church didn't like that. So they tried to ban them, like Newton and Galileo and Bernini and Da Vinci and things like that. And so that's what made them kind of create this Illuminati to be like the illumination of the church, like what of like of real things happening of science, not so it's
Yeah,
like they fought against the church.
Yes, and you're right. That is true. I just looked it up, and they were what is it? Secularism. Probably saying that. Probably butchering it.
Secularism.
Secularism. Jesus, I'm tired. Sorry, I apologize. I definitely see that. Yes, it is it. It's skepticism or indifference to the religious. So yeah. So that. Yeah. Go ahead, David.
I mean, back to the Freemasons. They invented the banking as we know it today. And a lot of our founding fathers, like we just spoke of, were Freemasons. I didn't know anything about the Illuminati, Amanda. Like I said, I did very little research.
She didn't listen to Tom Hanks.
No. I didn't listen to Tom Hanks. A lot of my stuff came from a YouTube video from Al Jazeera's network. Like this guy, Amar Waqid, he got into it. Like he was going around asking these different people, their thoughts on secret societies and what keeps secret societies going. And he found like a lot of their answers were the knowledge, and the more secret knowledge they have is the more power these secret societies have. So we look at the Freemasons and what kind of secrets they hold over, how our nation being built and the coming of our nation. I think they have a lot of secrets from our forefathers and what have you, as far as what we were into with England and what have you. And that's kind of, I guess, how they came to be and how they still exist. And they said the more secret knowledge they have, the stronger these secret societies are. And Chris, we spoke like you were speaking of the Illuminati. So I have something written down, and I guess for some reason I had a brain fart while I was writing this, but all I have is Illuminati Bible with a arrow towards Joe Biden with a question mark. So I'm not sure where I was headed with that. I think you said you have
apparently. Yeah, so apparently Joe Biden didn't take his oath on the normal Bible like every other president does. Apparently, according to some, Biden used the Masonic Illuminati Bible that has an upside down cross on it to take his oath.
Really?
Yeah, and there's pictures that I will show you. I don't remember. I don't watch the inaugurations like that, but here's the picture that apparently they're using to come up with this, and it's pretty fascinating. I have to admit, it's pretty fascinating.
Might say a lot about what he's doing today, huh? What do you think, Amanda?
You guys see that?
I mean, two things.
No, we don't see it.
I assume he probably put his hand on a Catholic Bible. He's Catholic.
It's some weird Bible.
And he's a practicing Catholic. It says Holy Bible.
Can you see?
Well, yeah.
It's an old ass Bible.
That is really old. I wonder where he keeps that. It's got a lot more chapters than my Bible does.
It's the same Bible that he's used since 1973 when he was first sworn into office.
Maybe 1773.
When he was
there it is. There, side picture. Look at the inverted cross.
Oh yeah, the inverted crosses.
No, it's a Celtic cross.
Man, that shit's inverted. You can see the reflection. That's not a Celtic cross. That is just an upside down regular old T cross.
Okay, so that no, I read it on. I'm reading something else on the other parts of the internet. That's saying that The Hefty Bible is accented with a Celtic cross and has been in his family since 1893.
Yeah, his demonic family. His Illuminati family, maybe.
Oh, those are clasps on the Bible. The crosses are clasps.
Okay, but they still have inverted crosses on it. No matter what they are,
That's
it's
kinda
still
cool.
what
Huh.
that they're inverted.
So they're not inverted in this picture that I'm seeing here.
Well, they flipped it back. They flipped it upside down.
Yeah.
I even went to
Hold on.
Snopes to look up Snopes, and Snopes doesn't have anything on it.
Yeah, because Snopes is a piece of shit. That's why.
Isn't it
Garbage news. Snoops is a garbage news network.
I was
Trust anything.
Okay.
I was just looking up for the facts. That's not where we go for facts? Snopes?
Nope.
All right, so if you see,
She looks like she's gonna shit her pants in that picture.
That looks like a freaking heavy ass book.
Looks like freaking out. Like, don't drop it.
Yeah, he's saying don't drop it. The other guy's sitting there laughing. You got it?
But you that's Dick Cheney. But you see the crosses here.
Oh, he's in that picture. Dick Cheney's the worst one of them all. He's the worst piece of shit of them all.
The only reason he's in this picture is because it's where they're reenacting like his Senate chamber when Biden got reelected to Senate. And Cheney was the president of the Senate. He's the vice president. But if you look at the picture, the crosses are normal. They must have had it flipped. They must have had it the right way.
No, I think they have it flipped now, Amanda. If you're doing
I think they have it flipped here. I think it's flipped the wrong way, that she didn't have it the right way.
So he took his oath on an upside down Bible is what you're telling me? That's why it's so backwards.
Yeah.
No, Amanda.
Look.
I wouldn't buy that. Wouldn't it be?
Bible.
But wouldn't it be right side up when you're doing the inauguration?
You would think that people would have flipped. Maybe? You would think people would have paid attention enough to have it right side up during the inauguration.
And flips maybe when you're just farting around with it, acting like you can't carry it. Like, come on.
I think in the right sense, yes, you would hope, but it looks like they have it flipped the wrong way. Because if you look at it here, you can see the clasp up here open. I can't go closer. I can see it closer. How do I get closer on you? Hold on. Hold, please.
Oh, I don't buy this, man.
I think you see. Look.
Like but look at how he's carrying that. That cross would have been. Oh, I don't know. I think Chris is right, Amanda. That cross would have been right side up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right side up, Amanda. The crosses are inverted. Because the way he was just holding it, look, I'll show my picture again. You see the same thing you just saw, and it's the same way from a different angle.
I'm trying to stop sharing. I'm just saying, like, I don't know how you've mistaken it, but like I could see accidentally holding it like this because you're excited, and if the crosses are the wrong way. I mean, I don't have crosses on my Bible; it's just the red Bible.
Here's the clasp here. Here's the right side here. The same thing you just showed in your picture. The same clasp here, and this is just from a different angle.
Interesting. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not, guys. Hold on a second.
Well,
because look at this lady's shirt.
The way he's sitting,
and look at this.
Looks like it's right there.
Oh, yeah. So that other one must have been from when he got as vice president.
Yeah, this picture, the clasps would have been out.
Yeah. So if you look like.
But right there, it still looks like the clasps right here.
Yeah.
Well, there's clasps on both sides, but one clasp allows them to open it, and one makes them close it.
And this one doesn't look
a closer picture.
Joe Biden, show us your Bible. If you're
Prove to us that you took the oath on a true Bible and not an Illuminati Bible.
Well, you don't have to take it on a Bible, actually.
Yeah, but he did. So.
Well, yeah, I don't think you have to, but he took it on a Masonic Illuminati Bible.
Yeah, it definitely is upside down because here's like another picture. Here, look. This is from Fox News.
Another liar.
Oh, it's from the Fox Philadelphia News. So the red one that you were showing that was upside down, is
Mhm.
from when he got sworn in as vice president.
Well, that might have been just the angle they were able to get. They were able to use or something for that photo. Like maybe.
Oh. All right, so this is him as presidente.
And they're inverted, right?
No, they're regular.
Stop it.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit. I can't zoom in, but can you see it right here?
Yeah, maybe they made him. Maybe she's got it flipped here.
I mean, you would think they'd pay attention and have it not upside down. Jeez.
That is possible. Yeah, so I don't know, but that's an interesting claim.
Yeah.
I mean, if he is Illuminati, like that's kind of cool. Although, let's talk.
Well, a lot of your presidents are Masons. Are Masons? They they come up through the ranks of Masonry and stuff like that. She is not a president. That lady right there.
They're all shiesty. They're all shiesty fucks. So.
Well, like, isn't there like some number that like almost all of them, but like Barack or something, and I don't think Trump was, or Joe. So like everyone before them were part of the Skull and Bones.
Yes, and did you know that not only is Obama related to Dick Cheney, he's also related to Bush?
I did not know that.
You mean like by blood? Like how I'm related to you?
Like ninth cousins type
really?
shit. Like, yes.
But that pisses some people off.
Fucking A. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Yep. There's a conspiracy that pretty much all the presidents are related in some sort of way, and they basically were like planned out and placed.
Well, I mean, it only makes sense. I mean, do you know how difficult it would be for you, me, or Amanda to just walk up and go, you know what? I want to be president, and then go for Senate, and you know, and actually fit into that.
That's my 20-year plan.
See, you can't.
I'm only 36, Dave.
You can't
run out of time, Amanda.
Plan it like brothers, sisters, and then maybe even first cousins. It has to be like further away from that. Otherwise, it makes too much sense. You know what I mean? Like you see it too easy.
Yeah, well, Jebby wasn't able to get up in there.
I feel like it was.
He kind of fell off the face of the earth, didn't he?
It was sort of easy. Yeah. I like Jeb. I didn't think he was like a awful.
Well, no.
Have you seen that movie?
We've got worse in the White House right now.
Have you seen that movie with Christian Bale, where he plays Dick Cheney?
Batman. Oh yeah.
I love Batman. It's really good. I can't think what it's called, but that's a really interesting perspective of all that shit.
Right.
But it makes sense if you think about it, because so many of our presidents have gone to specific Ivy League schools, whether it's Yale or Harvard.
Right.
I think only like 5 out of the 46 of them haven't.
Mm-hmm.
And that was because like the first 3, no Harvard and them were around. But
so speaking of that, so this leads me to one of my favorites. I have one that actually is my favorite, or not favorite like I'm a member, but favorite like it's just interesting.
How are you?
But the Bohemian Grove, apparently it's nothing more than a social club. It actually does exist. And actually, one of our favorite who made an appearance last episode actually is the one that kind of broke the news on this by infiltrating one of their gatherings.
Alex Jones?
Yes, he was made famous, basically. Like that's what really kind of got his gears off the ground, is when he infiltrated Bohemian Groves in the woods of San Francisco. He was like on a canoe and like going up the river or whatever. And he was like filming them.
Frogs.
Yeah, he was like filming them doing their ceremonies, because they do like this weird ceremony and where they light this big owl on fire. It's kind of like Burning Man, but instead of a man, it's an owl. And they call it the cleansing ceremony. And then they do like this mock execution thing where they supposedly pretend that they're killing a human being, but really it's fake. Supposedly it's fake, I should say. Who knows? And he's kind of the one that kind of broke the news on Bohemian Grove, because before that it was kind of like not known.
It was true secret.
But he here's a picture that he was able to get. Let's see, it's kind of a shitty picture. But yeah, it's fascinating that just how they do stuff. There's a lot more to it that they and they only meet once a year. Actually, the Manhattan Project, which created the first nuclear bomb, that was apparently was discussed there, and that's what got that plan off the ground.
Really?
But here's them. This is a clip from his video, and this is the owl right here, and this is them dressed up in their crazy cloaks and stuff. And here's kind of like a better picture
Holy
of the
smokes!
owl
That's
there.
a big
Even
old
though
owl.
that's- Yeah, it's big. It's huge. It's huge. So, and here's another clip from the video. And then he actually got in Bohemian Grove. And here's old Alex Jones right here. He actually got into the Bohemian Grove, and they caught on and like kicked him out or whatever. And he was like going up to people and asking them like, so how is it being a member of Bohemian Grove? And some people like wouldn't talk about it. It's just there's a whole thing behind it, but it's very fascinating. The idea that these guys get together in the woods every year, and there's like orgies involved, and it's crazy. It's all kinds.
I mean, there's other secret societies that get together in the woods. I mean, and burn things.
Yeah.
You know, crosses in
Yeah,
particular.
another one of my favorites. Yeah, yeah. Yes,
yes, that one.
That's a very nasty.
That is very
group.
nasty.
Very nasty. Group.
Yes.
Ortus or OTO. They're referred to as OTO, but most people know them as that. But it's actually Ordo Templis Orientis. Man, are you familiar with them, or David?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So they borrow heavily from Egyptian, Christian, and Judaic beliefs, and they're often cited as the precursor to modern Scientology. So it's basically the religion Aleister Crowley came up with, and he actually led the group for the longest time. It's a Thelema religious system, so it puts the love of the individual above others. So it's kind of like it kind of falls into the satanic idea of, love thyself over thy others or something like that. And it apparently there's many ties to Freemasonry as well, but they used to do weird stuff. Like there was rituals, and it was a lot of stuff tied to magic. Like they did weird rituals, sexual rituals where they would like ejaculate on a cracker and they had to eat the cracker, like weird stuff.
Well, all right then.
Very weird stuff.
That's probably one I'm not gonna look out for.
Yeah. My favorite one. I'll save my favorite one for the end, but how about the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn?
Nope, never heard of that one.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's also a magical type one. So it's based solely around mysticism and the practice of various magics. So the Hermetic Order's famous membership includes William Yeats and Aleister Crowley. So he was also a member of that as well, and it was formerly an offshoot of the Freemasons, while the Illuminati went mostly. Oh, I forgot this word already, man. Secularism.
Secularism.
Secularism. Secularism.
Jesus.
Secularism.
So apparently, the Golden Dawn is as deeply a cult as it gets. So then they do believe that still is going on.
Chris, have you heard about the
crazy stuff?
Ordo Novi Templi, or the New Templars?
I feel like I have, but tell me about it.
Did you know that? Okay, there was one pretty famous person that was a part of the New Templars. It was they actually allowed Hitler to rise to power in the New Templars. They helped him rise to power. It was founded by a guy named I'm going to butcher this because it's a German name. And I shouldn't. George Lanz von Liebesfels. And yeah, see, I told you. And their whole I guess outlook or foundation was kind of what Hitler was trying to create, was the world of an ideal race. So it was the idea of the Aryan race was a very ancient race with ancient wisdom. And then, course, like I said earlier, wisdom is power. So they were trying to knock off everybody else who wasn't of Aryan race because they felt that the Aryan race was smarter or had more wisdom than everybody else.
So I wonder if they have anything to do with the Thule Society, because many Nazi leaders claimed Thule affiliation, and it's a secret society with credited with this kind of the same thing with the Nazi ideology, and it was basically to bring a new world order with the systematic extermination of undesirables. And but it also had like a magical element, which most of these secret societies do have some sort of rituals or magic that deals with it. So and this definitely included some black magic, racist chanting, sexual magic, and calling forth demons. That's the German Thule
It seems
Society.
like all these societies have something to do with like you said, a magical aspect of it, but also a sexual aspect to it.
Yes, lots of
Which
sex.
is
These fuckers are
Well, do we
fucking
think
weird.
that a lot of it goes back to paganism and the fact that the Catholic Church took away the ability to like really chastised and not the word I'm looking for, like just like prudishly created like these rules that took away from what paganism and that the natural cause to want to connect with the earth, so show superiority, connect with each other, whatever that looks like through bodily function,
Yeah,
all of that.
I think so, and I think that's why they became secret societies instead of becoming just another religion.
yeah.
You know,
I mean, like
and
I think about like this is not a secret society, obviously, but like my sorority, I'm in a secret society, but I'm not secret about it.
You're gonna get kicked out of that
I
one.
think Dave one time told me it was a gang.
oh, nice.
But yeah, like so the reason that fraternity, I don't know about fraternities, but the reason sororities were created were because women weren't allowed to study with like each other, and like men in colleges, they had to like go to their own parts of the university. They weren't allowed to like do certain things. So they created these organizations for women to come together and like study together, be together, like be in fellowship and sisterhood and things like
Sounds
that.
like
And
a
I think
cult.
that's really similar. I really like cults, so probably is. Let's see, I'm Catholic, I'm in a sorority, I do CrossFit.
Yep,
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
you're
the only thing left on my list is to
you're
join the
heading down a
Masons.
cultish avenue here.
I looked into QAnon, but I just can't buy it. But Chris and I have a friend who I think has a cult that they're creating that I'm very interested in.
Right? I would love to interview him.
I have so many questions for him.
All right.
Do I not know this person?
Maybe no, it's this kid that we grew
Oh,
up with, and his mom and my mom were really good friends for a long time. My mom babysat him, and the name that he goes by now is not his
really?
given name, and
Mm-mm.
he's like a prophet. Oh, Dave, I will introduce you to Malachi.
He
It is
claims to be a prophet and all this. Really? Oh, I have
yeah.
to meet this guy. I've never met a prophet, so
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, he
I
goes
didn't
hard to the
know that I
paint.
grew up with one.
that's
Definitely goes
So
hard to the
really.
paint.
Does he really? He's not going to bring me
Mhm.
any kind of
I don't
juice
know
or
what that
anything, right?
means.
I'm not going to drink the Kool-Aid.
Not through the
I'm
interwebs.
not going to drink the.
I don't know. I
Don't
think
do it.
Google goes hard with the paint.
Hard to the
Oh,
paint.
giving one's full
Yeah.
effort. Thank you. Thank you. I
Doesn't-
was like, I am old. What does this mean? And then this rap song came up, and I was like, I don't think that's what that means. And then I found it.
So what about, here's one that kind of ties it back in. What about Opus Dei, man? What you got to say about Opus Dei? I know you know who they
Oh,
are.
bloody, oh, bloody, Opus Dei. Hey, la da da da, Opus Dei. I mean, I think that is a really like yes, I think it's real. I don't know if it's still thriving.
It is. It still is. They claim it's not. They actually have a webpage, but they actually
Oh, they
claim that
do.
they're not what they say they are. Which people say that they're kind of like the secret power behind the Vatican and kind of do all their dirty work in a sense.
Well,
Um,
apparently now it's mostly people who are secular priests and like lay people,
yeah, and there's
not
some
Catholic.
Wicked. Did you ever hear about the guy? There was he was a homosexual. Um, Man, I'm having a nasty brain fart here. Like journalist, and apparently he went into the Vatican priesthood or wherever however they become priests, and
Seminary.
he reported back that it's like a boys' club. Like you have the ones that are you have the gay priest, and then you have the pedophile priest, and the one's afraid of the other is going to tell on him. So as a result, nobody says anything. And that's what this guy reported back, is saying that that's all it is just either gay or pedophiles. And
There's like no in between. It's just.
I mean, I'm sure there is, but he was saying the majority was that. So, and Opus Dei, to come back to that, apparently they're ultra conservative, and they're apparently the extremely they came out of Spain in like 1928, I believe, and they're kind of who everybody points to if the Vatican's doing any kind of like dirty work.
Really?
Apparently, yeah, they made an appearance on the Da Vinci Code, Amanda.
Oh, they did. They did. It's the guy, Paul something is the actor's name. He plays Vision in Marvel movies. But he's much younger, and he wears these chains on his legs, and they like I guess mutilates himself. There's another word for that.
Paul Bettany.
And it's Paul Bettany, yes. And that is like his way of taking like his alms and for his sins and stuff. It's some crazy Catholic crazy.
Well, it's wild how all these secret societies are like just tied into everything. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think it's interesting on how like a lot of them really go back to the Catholic Church, which I think we've talked about before. I don't know if we talked about on the show or just the three of us, but the like amount of power that the Catholic Church had, like probably even before like the 20th
well, even still
century.
really has. I mean, the Catholic Church is still really, really strong. They're very powerful.
And the amount of money.
Oh my God.
So Tom Hanks told me the other day when I was watching Angels and Demons that, well, he didn't tell me. Actually, it was Ewan McGregor, but they were talking about the Vatican vault, which I would like. If I could have one wish granted from God, I would love it would be to be able to go into the Vatican vault and just see what they have. Because I think that's like.
That would be it, huh? That would be your wish, your one wish to God.
Yes.
To go into the Vatican vault.
One wish. I mean, I pray and I wish to God about a lot of things. But like, if he was like one ridiculous wish, I'd be like, I want to go into the Vatican vault and be able to see.
Well, my question
and like read it and touch it and have the knowledge, because I also would have to be able to speak Latin and no Spreca de Latin. But I think it'd be so interesting.
Yeah, I would love to go there.
Bank.
I think they got all kinds of shit.
Oh, for sure.
I think the 10th Commandments are there. I think inside the I can't even think of what they call what the 10 Commandments were in. What was that called? The
it's the
Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant, yeah.
I think it's in there. I think they have the Holy Grail, if the Holy Grail is actually a thing, because I think they just refer to it as an actual cup, but I think it might be something a little.
Do you think they have the measurements? Do you think they have the measurements?
Yeah.
I think they actually have the original Solomon's Temple in there. I think they got it all. I think they got UFOs.
Well, they also have like other things too that I think they want to hide.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Like, I think that there's lots of literature. And then I think there's just like a gorgeous art. Like I've been to the Vatican a couple times, and it's very moving, especially as a Catholic. Like it's very moving that way. But just the art alone and like the design, like Bellini and Michelangelo and all of that is really cool.
I'm sure, yeah.
And then to know like all the power, and I think back, like that's why I think a lot of these organizations kind of started was, again, it all leads back to power, which we've talked about, and then I think it leads back to maybe either losing power because the church took over or being granted power from the church.
Yeah, and I think that's
And
why.
then, yeah,
Go ahead.
no, that's the end of it.
I think honestly, even though, and I guess in the past 8 years or so, roughly around that, the Catholic Church has come out and said that they do believe UFOs exist. I strongly believe that's a large chunk of why, if they are real, that it's been kept hidden, because I think it would shake a lot of people's belief in a higher power, which I don't understand that, because it doesn't mean that God didn't create them
Well, and
as
that's
well.
yeah, I was
You
going to
know?
go with that. Is I don't think that if God created, okay, and I fully believe that God created us. God created the heavens and the earth, and the light and the dark, and what have you. I don't think he stopped with us. I mean, I don't think that we were that special that he goes, well, look at what I created. We're done. I think Adam, yeah, I think
Nailed it.
Adam and Eve kind of wiped that one clean with their first mistake. Hey, don't eat that. Sure,
Yeah,
okay.
they screwed up.
Okay, his back's turned. Grab it. So I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah. Listen to the
Yeah,
snake.
I don't think by and large that we were the only things that he created. I think that maybe we were in the mix somewhere. I don't know if we were the first or the last or what have you, but
And and that could be definitely a side of it too, but it could also be this. Maybe our God, or whoever he may be, whoever God you believe in, maybe he was responsible for creating things on this world. And maybe another God was responsible for creating things on, or this universe or this
yeah.
galaxy. And then another God is in charge of that one. It could be something like that,
Yeah,
you
yeah. I
know?
mean that sheds a whole new light on. It gives you something more to think about. I've never. I don't want to say I've never thought that we were alone in the universe. I think that
No, I definitely don't
something
think that.
out there that's more intelligent than us is somewhat scary to me in a way, because what are they going to use? What are they going to do if they're smarter than us? You know, at what point do they go? You know
Mhm.
what? These idiots here, we need to kind of wipe them out.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's this great show called Miracle Workers. Um, it's by Simon. I can't think of the guy's name. Has Harry Potter in it. It's hilarious. If you haven't watched it, it has Steve Belushi. No, Steve Buscemi.
Let's
He
say one of the
plays
Belushi
he
brothers.
plays God. Yeah, Steve Buscemi. He plays God, and he like it's kind of what you said, Chris, where like there's multiple gods, and he like is God that made Earth, but he's kind of like a stoner and like lost it, doesn't really care about Earth, and he like tries to like do other things, and they're like, but we really need you to pay attention to this, and he's like, nah, I'm good. And then my favorite episode is when he has to go to his parents' house and he's like siblings are there and they're like overachievers and talking about the world they created. They're like, how's Earth, honey? And he's like, it's fine. It's really funny. I recommend it. He's on TBS is how we watched it. Miracle Workers is actually really funny. It's like 3 different seasons of like different stories. So
Huh.
it's like the same actors in a different story. But the first season is about God and the earth and
That's
sort of what
funny.
happens when you come to heaven. Um,
Oh, that's cool.
all
It's
of
called
that stuff.
Miracle Workers.
Miracle Workers, yeah.
Check that out. That sounds good.
Yeah. It's entertaining. Like just the part where God kind of like doesn't care. Like he
Yeah.
cares, but he's like, man, whatever, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
It just sort of kind of puts a little humor on some things in the world. So
Yeah.
So you
but
think I was just gonna throw this out there? Do you think these other beings have secret societies?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's different sects that of them that, yeah, I absolutely do. I think secret societies in a whole are just bound to be, no matter what universe, no matter what world. I just think it's bound to happen, because people like to do different things, and they like to do it with
Right,
other people, and they like to do things that they don't actually want to share
right,
with others, except for the people they do it
and
with.
yeah,
And as a result, you get the secret societies where you
yeah. I
get to
think,
do that.
and it always kind of goes back to what I mentioned earlier. Is you have a secret, you want to share it with me, but you don't want Amanda to know. And well, now we just created a secret society, and Amanda's not a part of it. And
Yeah.
people like Amanda we don't
Yeah.
want. So, not picking on you, Amanda.
Yeah.
'Cause
No,
you're
that's
I don't
sexist.
think
what it
it's
is. I think
sexist. I'd
that's
have
how
some
they
women in there.
begin.
Not
I
me.
think that's how they start and how they, they may take on a different aspect and go a different directions, but I definitely think that's how they start. Or it could be that it starts with one, which it seems it
Yeah.
has. It seems like a lot of them, like we said, started with Freemasons and then
Kind of broke off of
blossomed
that,
from
right?
there, because people joined it and they were like,
Mhm.
well, this is kind of what I want, but I think I want it to be a little different than this. And all you have
Yeah.
to do is get one or two more people that are in line with the way you want it, and here you go. You got your spin-off secret society.
Well, I think the
Yeah.
other part about it too is we think about, people like to have secrets. They like to be part of the in crowd, right? And there are things that I promised, when I did my sorority rituals. Oh, I won't tell anybody about, and it's none of it's anything crazy. Just maybe a couple goats and a sheep, but nothing crazy. And
No,
oh,
no
did you
coming
both
on
freeze on me?
cracker.
So I think that there's like this part of human nature to want to be special and to want to be a part of something special and
Yeah.
then to pass that down. So I think about like my dad was a moose, part of the Moose Club.
Oh, in the Moose Lodge?
He went to
Yeah.
And like yeah, there was like the Moose Lodge, the Elk Lodge. I think he was a moose, right, Chris? Isn't it a moose that sings
Yeah,
on
it was
Bernie?
moose. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
moose.
And so like he would go and do things, and I think it's a lot more for social activity more than anything. I don't remember him going as I got older, but he also had his own issues. So, um, but then I think about like a lot of these organizations also are for men. There's not a ton that women are a part of.
Yeah.
And I was doing my research. I didn't find a lot that had specific, like, oh, women's only kind of thing. So that also just makes me kind of curious from like a sociological standpoint is there something in the male want to find fellowship with other men? And I mean that like through friendship or, power or whatever, and like continue to pass that down. And then I think about like the larger groups we know about, like the Illuminati or the Masons or the Skulls and Bones, and it's like a lot of that's also privilege
And
that's
see,
being passed.
I don't like. I didn't even bring up the Skull and Bones because that one's named and everything, and I don't really,
Yeah.
truthfully, look at that so much as a secret society as I do a not a sorority, but a
A fraternity.
fraternity,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, I get that all these presidents were members and all that. So I think maybe it's a way to give people a taste and maybe bring them into the actual secret society from that, like an entry. But yes, yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't believe that it in itself is a secret society.
Yeah, no, I see. I think what you're saying. I get that. Yeah, for me, it just seems really interesting that we're once again sort of in this world, or not once again, but like we're in a world where this is still a lot of power at play. Like I think a lot about, you know, I like to think that I control my life, but I do think that there are organizations that have power over what happens in my country, over what happens in the economy. Like I fully believe that like the Rothschilds and the all those people, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, being a part of like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to blow you out there.
Scared the hell out of me.
Being a part of like our economy and what have you, and still having effects on our economy and stuff like that. Oh yeah, I think there's a lot of behind the scenes play with interest rates and how we yeah, COVID, and
Coronaviruses
how we
and
spend money with China and how we spend money with Russia, and how we look out for Ukraine and what have you. I think there's a lot of that still going on with with different
Mm-hmm.
societies and sects within our society.
and they're definitely doing the sex, let me tell
Heyo.
you. All of them. So my favorite, or one of my favorites, I was sitting here thinking, I don't know if this can be my favorite, but Have you ever heard of the Rosicrucians?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the Rosicrucians, they're the most secret of secret societies apparently, and they gained ancient wisdom that enabled them to create a science greatly in advance of their contemporaries in the 15th century. Since the 17th centuries, rumors have credited the Rosicrucians with accomplishing the transmutation of metals, possessing the means of prolonged life, having the knowledge to see and to hear what is occurring at distant places, and enjoying the ability to detect secret and hidden objects. It has been alleged that scientific apparatus discovered the tomb of Christian Rosicrucius, 1378 to 1484, founder of the Brethren of the Rosy Cross, or Rosicrucians, would be considered common laboratory equipment for the 1960s, but impossible for the 15th century. The secret society has intrigued people for centuries and presented a challenge for historians and conspiracy theorists. So that's just a brief overview of them. So they're kind of same thing. They're more scientific based than the magical side or religious side, but they're apparently accredited with doing the anything new scientifically. It basically comes from this group. Like it's a group of scientists that come up with these new ideas, and they say that a lot of the like what do they call the group that the Manhattan Project was, a lot of
Mhm.
them are Rosicrucians and things like that. So they're
It's
pretty
wild how
fascinating.
everything in today's society is all linked back to secret societies. I mean, if you
Yeah.
look at the dollar bill has stuff from
Mhm.
Freemasonry on it. The all-seeing eye, the pyramid,
Yeah.
all this stuff. It's like, people
They say that's from
more
more
the
Illuminati
pyramids
than
or the all-seeing eye.
Freemasons, but it's still
Well,
the
the all-seeing
all-seeing
eye is
eye.
in
But
Freemasonry
it's
also.
kind
Yeah,
of both. Yeah, it's kind of both.
it's unreal how like everything in our society, everything that we deal with on a daily basis, is kind of parts with these groups. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah. And another one of my favorites is uh Hashashin or assassin.
I like the first
So
pronunciation of that,
and
Ashashin.
yeah, it's apparently the word assassin comes from the name of this group. It literally translates to followers of Hassan, more than just a religious followers of a charismatic leader. This is sect of trained killers who would destroy anyone who stood in their path. So this is kind of like, and they also were accredited for mostly destroying, they were thought to be mostly destroyed by the Mongols in the 13th century, but some say they scattered and adherents and could still be found in Eurasian areas. So these are kind of like the killers, or these are the people you would call if you're in one of these other nasty secret societies to kind of take care of your dirty work.
Wow,
So they're basically just like a secret society of killers.
I've seen that movie. Angelina Jolie
They,
was in it.
they remi- Yeah, it's kind. I think they kind of talk about. I think that it's kind of like loosely based off this, and they're kind of like looking at them. They remind you of like a Indian
Yeah,
ninja. You know, that's the kind of look they have, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, we can go way in depth and kind of talk about the things that they've been accused of being involved with and stuff. But that one's pretty fascinating because that's their secret society, is just being a league of assassins, for lack
I
of better
I
words.
I think
They're
I'd
just
join that one. That sounds like an awesome.
yeah, yeah, and it's
I don't know. It
fascinating.
doesn't seem like it has good insurance or benefits, or I wonder the life insurance
Well, if you
policy
get
would
caught,
be
no.
like. Do
Well,
you think
yeah,
it would like get less Geico? Like, 'cause like for some things I'm a part of, it goes towards my Geico. I just want to make sure like that
I
sticks.
think the medical would be good because the healthier you are, the
Yeah,
better killer you are.
That's true.
And life insurance can't be that good because your odds of death are
yeah. I'm
pretty
pretty
high,
sure you don't go
Pretty
into
high.
a
essentially.
life insurance policy meeting and go, "So this is what I do." Because I'm pretty sure they go, well,
Yeah,
you kind
number
of
of
score off of our charts to cover you.
yeah, you'd have to pay your deductible
Yeah,
up
right.
front.
Okay, so how do we join these societies?
I think it's like the
Yeah.
Freemasons that you don't.
Well,
They ask
no. In
you,
order
you
to
know.
join Freemasonry, you ask a Mason.
Oh, I thought they
Yeah.
had to ask you. You
No,
couldn't
you ask a
like.
Mason. Yep,
You have
you
to
ask
ask
a
them.
Mason to become a Mason, and then they give you
Oh,
like an application or something. Like I've done this. I actually asked a Mason, and he goes, "I'll bring you an application." He brought me the application, and it was during Karen and my time, and I didn't finish the application and stuff like that. And I started looking into. There was a corporal that was going through it at the same time, and I probably wasn't supposed to, but he kind of shared a little bit of what he was being asked to do. And I'm not really good with
hmm
like taking something, memorizing it, and spewing it back out. Like I need a little while. And
right,
that was
right.
one of the things that he had to do. They gave him this little book, and he had to memorize certain parts of this book. And in ritual, like somebody speaks this part, and
Mm-hmm.
then okay, you have to speak this part verbatim, word for word. If you mess it up, you
Yeah,
mess up the whole thing, and you have to do it again at some other time. And I'm like,
I just
yeah,
call that
and
yeah,
church.
yeah. That's true.
but yeah, it's ask a Mason to be a Mason.
When
Huh.
I joined my sorority, we had to take a test before we could join, and it was like you had to know like our
Hmm.
creed and a couple of passages in the Bible and whatever. And I remember being like, "This is so hard. I don't even know like." Sometimes I don't remember the Pledge of Allegiance more or less. I've been saying that forever. You know, it's not that I don't know it. I just my mind goes blank.
Right.
But now I can say that creed, my eyes closed,
And I mean,
backwards.
if I wanted, I guess if I
Yeah, you
yeah,
like have to
like if I
study
took my
for
time
sure.
and sat down and did it, and I think it would be awesome because our grandfather was a Mason, and I didn't find that out
Mhm.
until I went through
Yeah.
some of his stuff
Both mine were.
and found his apron.
Yeah, both
What's the one with
actually.
the people that wear little hats?
The
That's
Jewish?
the
No.
no, they. Oh man, what are they called?
The
Oh,
Early
Shriners?
Shriners. They are.
Shiners. Yes,
Aren't they part of
Shriners.
Masonry? Like they're like the upper Masons or something like that.
No, I don't think they
Okay.
have
I
anything to
thought they
do with
were.
them. They're really. I don't even think they're like. They're like. They kind of
Yeah,
they help
yeah.
people and drive little cars
I
and
like those little
parades.
cars
They
though.
do like hospitals and stuff.
Oh, they used to be known as the Ancient Arabic Order of the Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, and it's a Masonic society
See,
established
it
in
was a
Oh,
Central
Mason.
Florida.
Yep, that's what I
oh,
thought. I heard that
well,
they were
I'll be
Masons.
damned.
Hmm.
So
So
one
there's
more.
multiple Masonic
I'm telling you, they
things
all
then.
come from the Freemasons. So another one I feel like we should mention because I'm sure our listeners are kind of like, "Oh my god, I can't believe they didn't mention this one," is the Bilderberg Group.
Hmm.
So this is established in 1954. The Bilderberg Group or the Bilderberg Club is a secret society comprising of the world's elite. And they hold an annual private conference of about 120, 150 of the most influential people from the world of business, finance, academics, media, and even some presidents and prime ministers. It is believed the main purpose of this private party of the creme de la creme of the world is to create an aristocracy of purpose, mainly in the United States and Europe. Just being rich doesn't get you a spot in the party, though. Meetings are organized by a steering committee with two members from each of approximately 18 nations. Due to the lack of accessibility and transparency of these meets, the Bilderberg Group has been accused of a number of conspiracy theories around the world, including the Great Depression and most of the world's biggest terrorist activities. The air of mystery that surrounds the group and their unwillingness to come clean with the things discussed puts them in the list of the most dangerous secret societies in the world. So I think when people talk about the New World Order and all that crazy stuff, I don't think it has shit to do with the Illuminati or anything like that, unless the Bilderberg Group is the modern day Illuminati. I think it's all with
Mm.
these people because these are the movers and shakers of our world that are meeting together annually, and we know they meet together because they don't hide it that much. They're not like it's not like the the Bohemian Grove, where the only people that know the date and time are the people who are attending. It's kind of like, this is known, we're holding it this day, but you can't get in unless you're a member. So it ain't like they allow press, or well, they allow press if you're a member, but it's only these people are allowed to go in, and nobody knows what their agenda
Could you imagine
is.
like the security for that?
Oh, it's insane. I've seen pictures because, like, people like Alex Jones, and I think he was one of them, and then other people have attempted to gain access, and they do allow them to stand outside the gate, and you can like see cars pulling in. If their windows aren't tinted, you can see who's
Yeah.
in the car. But beyond that, you're not seeing who's getting out of the car and going in because it's
That's
so
wild.
far, back. They pick good venues, and then like, I don't think this has to do with any of the groups we mentioned per se, but they held the year before COVID, so 2019, they held an event, and I think it's called Event 401. So Event 401, it's not 401. What is it called? I think it's 201 maybe. Yeah, it's an exercise that Johns Hopkins holds. And
Oh.
apparently every year or something like that, they hold what's called Event 201. And what it is they kind of like do a tabletop exercise for a high level pandemic,
Really?
right? And guess what their topic
COVID.
was? Yep. In 2019, the pandemic they picked was COVID-19, or the coronavirus.
Wow.
And Bill Gates is a part of this, and he's really wrapped up, of course, in the coronavirus and stuff.
Yeah,
But
think
he
of all
was,
that money that like people made, like the really rich
Oh,
made a
the really
ton of
rich made a
money.
ton of money. I
yeah,
mean, they made Pfizer a ton of freaking money. Um,
Mhm.
you
yeah,
made what was that other company that came out with a Moderna?
Moderna,
Made a ton of freaking
Mhm.
money. This doctor Fauci, he's making money hand over fist. Yeah, it's
yeah,
unreal the money that
yeah.
came out of
And
COVID.
there's all kinds of shit coming out about him now. And people accredit him. They say he's the godfather of AIDS. He's kind of like
Hmm.
a big reason the shit went down with the AIDS epidemic in the what was that,
I
late
thought a
80s,
monkey
early
did that.
90s.
No, that was monkeypox.
Yeah, there's more. Yeah, there's more to it than that, but they kind of accredit him for the debacle that went down with that. But it's just fascinating that, I mean, it could be, and I'm gonna be the first to tell you, as much as I love looking up this shit and thinking about what could be, it could have been merely a coincidence. But it's just funny that that was their topic, and they did a tabletop exercise on it, and they
Mhm.
still handled it like
Yeah.
shit.
Well, I mean, I don't think
That's what's fascinating to me. The biggest of it, it's not necessarily that they predicted it and that was them like slowly unrolling it. It's that they just did a tabletop exercise on it, and they obviously didn't learn anything because it
Well, I
went
mean,
to shit.
Chris, you know as
You
well
know?
as I do, a best laid plan on paper doesn't usually come out, in person,
Yeah,
because you've always got
for
some
sure.
people monkeying it up somehow. But it's odd that
But just to have,
they would pick COVID, and then that would go
yeah,
insane. That would take over the world.
Mhm.
That's just odd.
it's what just bothers me though, and if somebody has a good explanation for it, I'm all ears. But what bothers me is that you had like Walmart, Target, Amazon Fresh, all these big, huge companies allowed to stay open, but all these mom and pop places had to
Hmm.
close their doors. And to
Mhm.
me, the big places are more likely to
Be
carry and
spreaders,
spread the virus because it's not as easy to go around and
right?
clean the store. Whereas if you got a small mom and pop grocery store, it's a lot easier to contain it because you can clean it a lot easier and less people inside and things like that. So I didn't really understand those ways. And I think a lot of that was going on like in the bigger cities like New York and California and stuff. But it's like, why, But that's another story for another
Yeah, I
day.
think there's a lot of issues we could kind of nitpick with all that stuff. Like, I could see why Walmart stayed open because they had the big supply warehouses and probably the backstock of everything needed from these people. or for us. Whereas
And that's a very good
your small
excuse.
mom and pop
Very good
stores, they
excuse.
probably have just what's in the back room. But
Yeah, but if Walmart's able to get a replenishment, why isn't mom and pop?
I mean, it kind of goes to, I guess, the baby formula right now. How do we go so short on baby formula?
But why? Speaking of that, we send a lot of baby formula down to the border to help the families that have come over, and now we're asking Mexico and I think another country to send us baby formula to help our babies.
Europe.
And Europe. Well, why do we do it like that? Why didn't we keep our stuff for our children's and ask these other countries for formula?
Well, I mean, there's a lot that we do that with, Chris. I mean, I think I saw somewhere today where we were sending our excess oil reserves or whatever, our excess to Europe.
Like, I'm all for babies. I want all babies to have food.
Yeah,
so don't get me wrong that I'm saying one's better than the other. But when it comes down to it, any other country is going to take care of their country first before they take care of others. And that's what frustrates me.
Well, I think we are taking care of our country now that we saw that we have this issue. But I think it's hard to stop in the beginning. But I also think that, like, there is this savior complex that America has.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
I think that we had to be the savior, and I think there's a savior complex that we have because we were afraid that if we didn't come to certain countries' aid, Russia would come to that aid, and there would be communism.
Yes, that's a fair point.
Vietnam is a great experience, show of that, right? And then I think that we continue to have this like savior complex, but we don't have the resources or the ability to continue to be the savior. It's like we didn't listen to the flight attendant when she said, "Put your mask on before you put someone else's mask on." And we're just putting the whole plane's mask on, and we're like, "Well, we're fine. When we can barely breathe."
Yeah, and that's a fair point. I definitely agree with that. But it's just I don't know. And the frustration with Biden, he made some comment I heard. I didn't hear this firsthand. I heard it like second or third hand that he didn't know about it and basically till it was too late. That's like they've been talking about the baby formula thing for a while, and like he didn't know about it until way after the fact. It's like,
you're supposed to be like the head of everything. Like all this stuff should be running through him.
Yeah, and I get that you're the president, you're the man at the top, so it's a lot on your plate. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot on your plate. But if you can't handle the fire, you got to get out of the pan, type of thing.
And I'm not harping on, Trump being the greatest guy ever or whatever. But
no, I'm not.
The way he ran our country,
he made many mistakes.
No, absolutely, and he couldn't shut his mouth. Had he been able to put his lips together and not make so many, I guess, stupid comments, a lot of people would still vote for him. However, I thought it was hilarious when he would comment. I thought it was great. I thought it was funny. It made for great TV. Calling little fat guy, and what have you. It was phenomenal. However, he ran the country how the country should have been ran as a business, where he saw a lot of our exports that we could have made here, where he started making them here again, and saving us some of that money. Amanda, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah. I see you hyperventilating over there.
Wait, did you personally mute me?
No, I didn't.
Oh, I was muted, which was good because I was like literally having heart palpitations. I'm gonna have to go get Marge's oxygen machine. Like, so many thoughts. We can have a separate podcast, Dave, you and I, where we can talk about this. My immediate thought about all of this stuff happening is there is reason
for sure
happening. I think that there are people that are higher than Biden that are little puppet, and we've talked about this. I do not.
I think it goes right back into our secret society talk that we're having right now. I think there are secret societies pulling strings that Biden doesn't have control over, and or that he does. Even he may be a part of these secret societies, and they're going, listen, we need to do this to kind of open somebody's eyes, or make it look,
Yeah.
people pay attention to this while we do this on this side.
I mean, money talks.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I don't hold him directly responsible at all, but I definitely think that he is a puppet. I don't think he's in charge. I don't think he's the puppet master. I think he's definitely a puppet. And don't get me wrong, Trump is a crook in his own right. So don't get it twisted that I'm saying he's.
I think they're all puppets.
Yeah, but I think it's just a different crime family. I think they're all just crime families, and they're all. I think
Trump.
Ones.
I think
Trump's
strings were a little bit looser, and I think that's what bothered people up there. Was that Trump didn't have his strings tied to everybody in that?
I will.
Everybody in those offices or what have you.
I will say, as the very staunch, I'm not even a liberal. I'm part of the Peace and Socialism Club. Like, I looked at what actual party I would be if I wanted to not vote. I actually really like Marxism. We could talk about that later if you want.
Here we go.
God,
because I have lots of thoughts on Marxism. I've been reading a lot about him.
Good old
Marxism. Don't get me wrong. It's like not Marxism and Leninism. It's like very strict Marxism. I think is interesting, but I don't think as it goes into communism is. I think that's where it gets twisted.
It's too close. Very close. It's too close. But anyway, go ahead.
It's a hair. It's a hair. Oh shit. Oh, I will say that I am more relieved that Donald Trump was president than somebody like Mike Pence or DeSantis, who I think know what they're doing, know how to get around things, and know the people that are pulling the strings. Like, I don't know how to say, I guess an unkind way of saying that is like I was a little bit more comfort that Donald Trump was more stupid to not understand things as like other politicians who have been career.
Well, I don't know that. I don't know. If,
and Joe Biden is one of them.
No, and I understand. I don't know that stupid is the right word. I think that he knew kind of what deals were being played, but as a president, he was also not part of those deals. You know what I mean? He wasn't part of that money. He could look at it and go, I have my money. I don't really need your money. I don't really like that deal, so I'm going to nix it.
Well, I think he also just didn't. He didn't play in the game.
Right. Yeah. No.
Which, I mean, again, I, as someone that was like, oh, I don't like anything this party stands for, we're okay with him not knowing how to do it because it just made us for 4 years. We just kind of hung out. It was fine.
I don't know that we hung out. I think he kept a lot of these in check.
Let's not use that.
Okay, a lot of these
people who are maybe
ignorant people in check.
I'll go with that. I do though, like I said, I think that there is a higher power. That not higher power as I use for God. Right? I know you all I refer to God as HP. I think there is a higher person or higher organization at play.
For sure. I think this whole podcast is probably touching on that higher power. You know, I think it's more than one person that controls it. I think there's a group of people that are making decisions and going, hey, let's put this into play and pull this string and make this person talk.
And I think that like with the baby formula and gas, like this isn't the end of it. Like as sad as it sounds, especially I know you guys are parents and like, God willing, I'll be one soon. Like, I think that it's going to be hard, but it's going to get worse
before it gets better for sure.
And I'm a glass 3 ways full kind of person. So if I'm saying that, the pessimists are probably having.
Well, I truly think that we're going to go into another recession.
I think so too, Dave. I have been like putting money, all my quarters I get under my mattress.
I'm waiting on this housing bubble here in Florida, and I'm sure it's everywhere else. The housing bubble here in Florida to pop. I mean, these houses are unfreaking real. The prices are just astronomical.
It's everywhere. It's up here too.
And unfortunately, I'm on my own again. Not a choice that I wanted or something that I'm happy about. But I'm out, and I'm like, well, I'd love to have a place of my own, a place that my daughter and I could call. I can't afford anything right now. Nothing.
Yeah,
No,
it's ridiculous.
insane. Mom and I were driving home from church on Sunday, and they're building these like new townhomes. They're not townhomes, but they're like if townhomes weren't together. Does that make sense? Like they're just like long but narrow.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking, Mom's like, how much do you think those are? And I was like, oh, I bet they're going for like 400, which I still think is way too much. But in Colorado, 400 is your average price for that kind of home. $800,000.
Yeah, see, that's just unfreaking real. It's unheard of. Unheard of. Like if you had a house right now, I could only imagine what it would go for if you sold it right now. It's just
Oh, we looked at it because we were like, oh, like not to sell, but we were just curious. We have a pretty like nice size house, whatever. We've only been here for 2 years. We've already made $300,000 on it just because of inflation. And Adam's like, oh, we can make this money. And I was like, where would we go?
That's one part. You can sell it and make the $300,000, but you're going to dump that right into another house, and then some.
We've made about 60, and it's the same thing. It's like, where will we go?
We actually joked that we would go to York, Pennsylvania, because we could buy a house there. But it was the haunted house, and Adam wasn't sure about that. So,
that's funny.
He's like, maybe if we could like live in Hershey Park.
Oh, that'd be nice.
So,
could you turn one of your faucets and get chocolate out of it? Well, hopefully these secret societies are listening and going, you know what? These poor people. They figured us out. Let's go ahead and pop this inflation and bring stuff down.
Or they're like going to come after us and figure out where we live. We've probably given too much information to our 10 listeners.
Yeah. It's only getting better, though. It's only getting better with the listeners, and we would like to keep it that way. So I'm going to say it every episode. Please tell everyone you can about the podcast. If you listen to us, do the kind thing and leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Please do that, because that helps us the most. Gets us on the charts. Makes us look like we're doing something.
Tell your friends about us.
Send us an email. If you have any ideas, tell your friends about us. Tell your barber. Tell everybody. Tell your coworkers. If you have any topic ideas or something that you really like to hear us dive deep on that maybe we've already touched on a little bit, let us know that as well. Send us an email at thewatersrundeeppodcast@gmail.com. And, if you leave that 5-star review like I've offered before, let me know. I'll send some stickers out. Just send me an email if I don't reach out to you before that if I see it. We'll send you out some stickers. I got some new ones coming that are same thing but a little flashier looking. So hopefully they turn out well. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next one.
Good night.
Drive safe, Erica.
A survey conducted by the Atlanta Vampire Alliance estimates that there are around 5,000 real vampires in the United States, with about 50 living in New Orleans. Join us next week as we talk about vampires, their existence in America, and specifically their history in New Orleans.
Email us at the Waters Run Deep Podcast at gmail.com. Again, that is the Waters Runs Deep Podcast at gmail.com. Let us know what you think of the podcast. If you've given us a 5-star review and I haven't reached out to you about stickers, please let me know and I will get them out to you. As well, if anyone wants to come on the podcast, has had any crazy experiences with the paranormal, aliens, UFOs, if you're in a secret society, anything like that, reach out to us. We'd love to have you on the show. and hear about your experience.